All right, we're live. We'll give everybody about 5 minutes or so to jump in here and jump into studio here. Jump in the comments if you're here. Let us know. We'll give you a shout out here. Hopefully everybody can see and hear us okay. But let's see. There's my audio any different now?
Yes. I don't know if I like it though.
Better or worse?
I think I like it first.
All right. Is that better?
Yeah, I like that better.
Okay. Oh, what's up, Brandon? Good to see you, man. I was throwing Brandon's jig heads on my swim bait at Chickamauga.
Yeah. Did you say you fished that lake much?
No, man. Never been there.
I know we wasn't out there very long, but just initial thoughts.
It was cool. I could definitely see how it sets up different than Gunnersville. It's just got so much more rock than other TVA lakes I've been on. It's obviously we were there in the winter, so not much alive grass right now. But I definitely would like to go back in the spring and the summer just to see how different it would be.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a vending machine that sold fishing lures.
I saw that at Tuck and Tackle, or was that at the ramp?
At the ramp.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's the first place I've seen like that. I mean, it's a good idea, but it kind of stinks too, though. It's like, you don't want to put up like you're not trying to put mega bass, jerk baits in there.
Right.
But then it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like you can have some basic stuff in there. Maybe it make a little bit of money.
I think every ramp should have bathrooms and ice machines. I don't know, like the two things you always seem to need when you launch your boat, but maybe that's just me.
Unless you have an Icon, then they have like built-in chillers in the boat.
That's true. I guess I don't need that. I have a $120,000 boat, right?
It's been interesting seeing some videos and who's all running Icons. So
yeah, it is cool. Are you going to keep up with tournaments more this year, or?
I'm gonna try to. If I don't get frustrated at watching them, I'll definitely go back. I mean, even like navigating the website, a lot of times can be challenging. That's why I'm always hitting you up like, hey, can you just link me to this thing because I can't find the results or whatnot, man. It's so dumb. Man.
I know. Yeah, I really like to complain about Bass Pro Shops website. Their ordering process is horrible, but I don't feel like any company in the industry really has a great website nowadays. So
I don't order too much from Bass Pro.
I do because I have their credit card, so I can get the points. I'm thankful that Rick's he's been showing up for everything lately. I really appreciate you being here, Rick. If you could tell us how the Harris chain is fishing right now. Interested. I think you guys are. Man, the Florida spawn is totally different than the rest of the country. So I'd be interested to hear how the fishing is down there.
Dude, that's why I want to get back down there, man. I sent you that random place I was looking at over there by Kentucky Lake, but I've also been looking at some houses in Florida. And the reason I sent you the one at Kentucky Lake is because I can afford something like that. And the one in Florida, it's a little bit more challenging to get down there and have a place and all other good stuff.
Who's that guy who? Charlie Hartley. He's the guy who rotates between. Is it Ohio and in Florida, or where's he based out of? Do you remember?
I don't, but I know he's always a character on BTL. He just sounds so happy, dude.
He's awesome. Well, it looks like there's a college event going on the. I guess it's Lake Toho. I thought it was Harris Chain. It looks like it took 42 pounds over 2 days to win. So 18 and 23 for the winners.
2 20-pound bags or so.
Solid. Very solid. 18 and 20. Yeah. I mean, taking 20 plus pounds a day to win, that's pretty solid. But I wonder how the fishing on the Harris chain is.
I fish Winter Haven chains. I think it's a smaller chain of lakes, but It's interesting.
Okay.
I feel like it's just a bunch of ponds and they're just connected by canals. It's a little different than what we have here.
Cool. So it looks like Rick's got some tournaments coming up. You'll have to let us know how those go, Rick. We didn't really do these streams during the season last year during the tournament season just because it's so busy. But hopefully we have a reason to this year. You know, that would be good for us to do, I think. But we got a few people watching, which is totally fine. Johnny, you got anything you want to jump into before we get into the meat of the show today?
No, I mean, have you watched any interesting videos on YouTube or listened to interesting podcasts?
Not really, man. I feel like this year has really started off really busy for us at work. So I've been ate up with that and doing some tournament prep here and there. And I've been catching up on some of the Elite Series guys' YouTube channels, people that I don't like, Lee Livesey and the Drew Cook and Drew Benton that I try to keep up with them. So I've been trying to finish it up those series. But what about you?
Yeah, I just been watching some of the boat reveals. I watched Hunter Shyrocks the other day. He's got an Icon. Been trying to keep up with Ben some. Ben's got a nice little Bass Cat. Trying to watch the Bilge. I think they had Johnny Morris's son there the other day. So interesting. And I think Johnny Schultz from Fish the Moment is back on BTL. I don't know if it's an old video or what, or if that was the most recent one, but I'm a big Johnny Schultz fan, so looking forward to watching that. I'm sure he's trying to sell a new product. But
you like that analytical approach to fishing?
Yeah, and I think that's a great segue into some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. I think got a little sneak peek of your spreadsheet and find it super interesting.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, today we're going to go over, I kind of teased it last week, but we are going to go over a spreadsheet I did that hopefully you guys can see okay. I don't know how well it's going to come through for the recording, but we'll do our best. Basically, the process of gathering all this information as far as the fishing performance goes, that's pretty easy. I remember what I caught, these fish on for the most part. I remember how I finished, but I can always check the website to see all my fishing performance, how that was. But as far as the cost goes, if you don't keep up with this week to week or event to event, it's hard to go back and like filter through all your purchases. And so basically what I did was I sat there with my calendar up and my credit card statements and my email, just went through the calendar. I was like, okay, I had a tournament this weekend. Let me look back and see, did I buy gas before I left? Did I buy baits before I left? Let me look at my email and see what I bought. I basically was cross-referencing like 5 different things just to confirm all this information here. So it took a lot of time, but I think it's really important to do. And I'm actually going to try to be more proactive this coming season and do it while it's actually happening. So like this last trip to Chickamauga, I actually wrote down everything that I spent money on. So at least I know now.
Nice. Like you actually like writing it down on a piece of paper or actually like putting notes?
No. Yeah, digitally. I barely know how to write, honestly. So, but we can kind of we'll go through this season. I'm not going to dig through every single tournament and I'm not going to spend an hour just going through the entire spreadsheet, but basically I just laid it out by the date, the trail that I was fishing, the location. You guys see how it's laid out here. Some of the interesting things is going to be the baits that I used, and then I took a few notes here and there and how many times I caught a limit. So we started out January on Smith Lake. I had 2 fish for 6.8 pounds, which was a 24th place finish. This was my biggest check of the year. It was like $680 because I won big fish, which is, I think it was 500. It was also probably the biggest field of the year. But I caught fish on a shaky head and on a DT6. So those are pretty standard lures for me, pretty popular picks for myself.
Yeah, is big fish just on the coast side or is it on the boater side also?
Both. They've got a prize for both. So I won. It was a 414 largemouth with the total unicorn on Smith. So that was really cool. Let's see if I can
You
get
ever thought
one.
about like adding some additional data elements such as like water temperature, what if it was cloudy or sunny or wind, some stuff like that?
Yeah, I have thought about that. That will happen probably at some point, just to have better record keeping. But man, it's a lot of data entry, obviously, and this is not my forte. So
Yeah.
did what I thought was important, but I think conditions would be good to do as well.
Yeah, one of the things how I kept up with it before was just do a screenshot, of the temperature, whatever
Yeah,
app you like to use. At least you have that. You won't have water temperature, but at least you can kind of see the wind and where it's coming from.
right. Yeah, that's good. I'll pop over here to the chat. We got Brandon. So Brandon's got a new video finally dropping, man. We've been waiting for months for Brandon to get back on the game. Oregon, Idaho videos. That should be cool. I wonder what kind of fish we're going to see on there. But guys, definitely go check out Backdraft. It's one of the guys that supports me and got some good stuff. So we'll keep going through this. But next tournament was on Lake Martin. I caught all three of the fish I weighed on the OG Rocco. Had 5.5 pounds for a good finish. Caught a bunch more fish that day, but the only fish I weighed were on the Rocco. So you can see that I rely on a hard bait, on a crankbait a lot early in the year. Nothing crazy, but I did catch a limit during that tournament. It's a 3 fish limit, so good observation there. The next one was on Gunnersville. That was my best tournament of the year. I had 17.4 pounds, all caught on the Booyah one knocker. So a lipless in the grass. It's actually my best performing video of all time so far on the channel. So if you guys haven't seen that video, definitely would check it out. But really fun tournament. The next one on Lake Eufaula, we had issues with our trolling motor. So I'd love to be able to make an excuse that that costed us our performance. But my boater actually had a really good tournament, so I can't really use that as an excuse. But I did catch one on the shaky head, so you'll see I relied on the shaky head like all year whenever times got tough. But next one here on Gunnersville, caught 2 fish on the one knocker again. Sort of basically a month later exactly from the first BFL, but I still caught them on the same exact bait, which tells you that bite is good for a long time. It's good actually right now, and it'll be good through, probably April. I'm gonna go to a club tournament on Lay where I caught actually 2 fish on the buzzbait. I went on a speed crawl. I had 3 fish for 1040, which was another really good tournament. Then I fished a tournament locally here on Old Hickory. We had like 9 pounds, I think, flipping a creature hog around. So that was a fun one. I won't go through all the rest of these. I'll just go through kind of the notable ones. Let's see. I zeroed on Pickwick, so obviously no catch data there. Caught a few on a tube for the first time, which was fun on Pickwick. We caught some on the floating worm on Center Hill. That was a really fun bite. But basically, I'll skip through the rest of these. So average finishes for the Bass Nation, I finished an average of 30.8. So basically, I finished an average of 31st place. And then on the BFL, finished an average of 29th. And that also counts the regional and the super. So my average will be higher if I just counted the regular season, but decided to count those tournaments as well since it all matters. And then average of 8th place on Fishers of Men. So that was kind of cool to see that. But you'll notice, so my AOY averages, or as far as my placement, is really similar between the two trails, even though they're totally different. Johnny, what do you think? What do you think that means analytically? Any ideas?
No, I think I've been kind of tied up looking and noticing some of the baits that you're using. A lot of guys talk about fishing from a co perspective. Seems like a Cinco seems like a really high percentage bait. So I'm surprised that I don't see any Cincos for that first half up there.
No. Yeah, we can go ahead and skip to that. This is all of my catches for the year. So we got Big Jim on. Thanks for popping in, man. Let us know if you've got any questions or anything. But yeah, this is all the catch data for the year. So we got the shaky head, DT6, a Rocco. Anything jump off the page here for you?
I know we talked a little bit about throwing the buzz bait, and so
Yeah.
I can see why that's a a confidence bait for you. You feel like most times when you fish a buzz bait, they're keeper size bass.
Most of the time, yeah. Um, you will catch a few shorts, and I did catch a few shorts this year on it in tournaments, but it is a major confidence bait for me. Got confidence in all the colors, all the trailers, all the setups, pretty much. I mean, it's just one of those things that I really enjoy throwing. But we can go ahead and jump up here to the percentage of fish I weighed in. This kind of tells you what my tendencies are as an angler. Um, so you guys can see I really like a lipless. I really like a regular lipped crankbait. Um, Caught a lot of fish on soft plastics this year. So between a floating worm, a tube, the shaky head, um, what else?
You think that floating worm is kind of a narrow window though from a bite perspective? I'm trying to
It
see.
is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is definitely a spawn tournament or just barely post spawn tournament bait. We caught them on Center Hill with that, and it just sets up perfectly for it. So that was cool. But
Can we
caught
talk
one
real
fish
quick?
on a
Can we
spinner.
talk a little bit about that? Is that like they're up in the buckbrush or something like
Yeah,
that? Is it just like you just using like a straight shank hook or rounded
yeah,
hook?
yeah. So I did do a video on it. But basically, those fish spawn, up on the bank as much as bank there is on Center Hill. But it's really hard to fish anything up in there just because it's you can get hung up really easily on most anything. But the way that you hook that worm on that, it's a straight shank, just offset worm hook, and the way that you rig it, it's pretty much weedless. So the way that me and Kevin Lamb, the way we approached that tournament was basically I stayed in the front of the boat with the floating worm and casted it way up, skipped it up under stuff, and he basically stayed behind me and flipped for most of the day. Now sometimes we would switch off, sometimes we'd change it up, whatever. But we covered water really well and had a good. I think we had almost 15 pounds that day, so it was fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm starting
that's
to
what
get on
we.
a lip, trying to have a little bit more confidence with a lipless bait. I feel like you can cover a lot of water, different parts of the water column. So I just recently got that one knocker and hard knocker, and today I'm sure you've seen the new color patterns,
Yeah,
and two out of the four I got were red. So we'll see how that red lipless bite is for me.
yeah, yeah. I obviously I have a lot of confidence in that particular color, but I love the lipless almost all year. I think that there's probably a time for it almost all year. But caught a lot of fish on top water this year. But I mean, soft plastic was by far my most popular bait. But yeah, you don't see a Senko on here. Um, I did catch a few on a drop shot, but you don't see any Ned rig. Kind of the classic like finesse, cold or co-angler baits. You don't really see a lot of that.
Did you
Um,
throw it though, and just didn't catch anything, or
Not really. No, I maybe I should have. Maybe that would have resulted in more catches, but I was able to fish the way I wanted to most of the year. Honestly, there were a few tournaments where I didn't get to or didn't set up quite right, but for the most part, I was able to power fish the way I wanted to. So that was really cool this year.
nice? Be
Yeah.
interesting to see how that is with the Toyota series and different type of people and
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably talk about this more in depth on another stream or in another video, but I think I'm kind of going to change my mindset for next year a little bit because I really like to compete, as you know, and sometimes that means that I either do something stupid as a co-angler or maybe I'm not focusing on like I'm doing it's I don't know how to put it, but basically I'm going to focus more on learning than I am on competing next year.
Hmm.
So that may mean more finesse fishing. It may mean, throwing out the back of the boat instead of trying to throw out stuff that's on the side or whatever. We'll see. But I don't know that I'll be doing as much power fishing next year. Just put it that way. Um,
Yeah, I'm interested to see how you do, and what's really neat about you keeping up with all this information is you can go back and kind of reference it, right? Yeah.
yeah, and the videos are a good way to do that as well. But it's much easier to come look at a spreadsheet than it is to watch a 15 or 20-minute tournament video. I did have to go back a few times and be like, what did we catch them on that day? I forgot, and I had to look through my own videos to see how we caught them. But it is a good thing to do to keep up with this kind of stuff because you never know when it might be valuable. You know, I'm going to go back and add to. I did this for 2022, but it wasn't nearly as in depth as this. So I'm going to go back and look at that as well, see how things change from year to year. But anything else on this spreadsheet you wanna look at before we move on?
Did you catch any on a jig?
None on jig. No, I really didn't throw it a whole lot.
Nice.
No, I mean, like I said, it was a shaky head, lipped crankbait, lipless, buzzbait. That's about it, man.
So
Did
does
catch
that
a few
mean
on.
going into this year, does that mean you'll carry less tackle, or you think? I know you like to always have stuff just in case, but does that change?
Definitely gonna pack lighter. Gonna pack lighter, buy less. Try to really focus on stuff that I have confidence in rather than adapting and jumping around. And feel like I've learned a lot in the last few years, and feel like I'll have more confidence going into these tournaments because I've been to these lakes, 2 or 3 times now, depending on the time of year. But
Yeah.
definitely
Speaking
gonna be
of cost,
packing lighter.
buying less stuff, is that like a good time to go in the second
Sure.
tab? I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yeah, we can go ahead and jump in the cost here. We'll zoom out a little bit so we can see the full thing. I don't know if, should we zoom back in here? Is that view okay? We'll zoom back in here just so you can see the numbers. So the way that I broke this down was very similar, just the date and the trail. There's not going to be any catch information, but basically I added up the entry fee, any money I spent on tackle, lodging, food, and gas. If there were any other like miscellaneous costs, I added those in. So licenses and bags and stuff that I was really only going to use for the tournament. I added that in as well. But let's see. What do I want to talk about? So I fished 4 trails last year, 16 tournaments, and I basically spent we'll go ahead and jump to the average I spent for each tournament with the entry fee. I spent an average of $344 per tournament. So that's between an entry, like I said, between an entry, tackle, lodging, food, and gas. Every time I run out to wherever it is, go travel, basically I know I'm going to be spending $350 to compete.
To me, at first, I know when we first looked at some of these numbers, it seemed kind of high, but now that I see it with the dates, it doesn't really seem that terrible. It's like, for January, you had one tournament, so 344,
Right.
and then, some of these
Yeah.
months you fish twice a month, right?
Right. And I need to go back and kind of add up the monthly breakdown. It's one thing I haven't gotten to yet, but it's a good way to look at it. But basically, we'll go through, like you said, January, only one tournament. February, we've got 2 tournaments. You'll see, I think it's interesting to me. We'll just go through here. The entries, those are pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to have to pay an entry fee every time I compete. A club is going to be less. Fisher's Men is going to be less because it's a partner. And then, the regionals and the supers are more expensive down here. But entries are going to be more this year. So I paid a total of $1,800 in entries this year. The average doesn't really matter all that much, but basically that's what just straight up entry fees. What I'm given is $1,800 over the year. Tackle wise, this was kind of interesting to me. It felt like there were spurts where I felt like I needed to buy stuff, and then I would be good for a few weeks, and then I need to buy stuff, or I'd be changing maybe seasons, changing maybe patterns. So I'd need to go from maybe more shallow fishing to to something more deep. And I felt like big expense here, getting ready for the year, and then sort of lesser, and then a big expense here as it shifts to maybe more spawn tournaments towards the post spawn. And then these couple didn't really have to buy any tackle. They didn't really need anything. Now we're getting into the post spawn in April, getting into shad spawn. I ended up buying a new reel in April, so that was a big expense. And then the rest of the year, I didn't really buy a whole lot because I felt that was pretty good. So overall, spent $1,200 on just tournament tackle. So that doesn't count personal fun tackle. Like I said, I went through and dug through all my receipts, all my emails, all my credit card statements. So that's an average of $80 per tournament. That needs to go down. I think that'll go down this year.
Yeah. Have you thought about like setting a budget, or you know what number you want to be at?
Not yet. That's probably something that I need to do. But at least I know, hey, last year this is what you did every time you put your boat in the water, so or a boat in the water rather. So maybe don't do that again.
Yeah.
And I feel like I won't have to spend that much this year. Honestly, I've got so much good confidence stuff now, and I have been to these lakes. Like I said, there'll be stuff here and there, and you always end up now. I got to run to the tackle store and grab this or whatever. That's always going to happen. But I actually did a better job this year than I did last year, so I'm looking to continue that trend. Lodging wise, that's probably the best part about this. The amount that I travel is that I'm either going to stay with friends or parents or buddies or whatever it is. I don't spend a lot on lodging, like Big Jim said in the chat here. An average of $33 per tournament. So unless it's like really far out of the way and in a place where I don't have friends, I don't spend a whole lot on lodging. So $539 through the year. That's between, like I said, 14 tournaments or 16 tournaments actually. So if you divide that up, it's only $33 a tournament, which is good. Probably will spend about that this year because I've got a few out of state tournaments that I'll need more lodging for. But any other observations on the lodging side?
No, and I think like probably being a co-angler kind of helps with that also. For me, I don't know if I would have to get like a hotel and I have to pick a hotel that I can put my boat in, or an Airbnb.
Right.
So I would think a boater would be significantly more unless they have buddies they could stay with, kind of like you.
Yeah, definitely. That is a big benefit to being a co-angler. The only thing I have to worry about is me. So, and I'm not that complicated. So as long as I have a place to put my head, I'm pretty good. But food wise, that's an instance where I pretty much had a food expense almost every time I went out, unless it was local. Whether you're grabbing dinner on the way there or food if you're spending 1 or 2 nights, you need something to eat. So I wasn't really able to factor in food that I prepared for myself. Where if it was part of my like weekly groceries and I happened to take something from home, it's kind of hard to account for that. So you could probably add $5 or $10 onto every one of these and get a more accurate number. But basically broke down to $50 every tournament of food. Whether that's grabbing, gas station snacks or dinner or whatever it is, that's pretty much I knew. Now I know it's basically $50 to eat every time you go travel to a tournament.
You feel like that's fair, or you want to try to get that down, or?
We're gonna try to get that down this year. Do more food prep, I think, at home. Bring stuff with me rather than grabbing stuff while I'm there. But we're always looking to improve our diets, so we can always do better on that, I guess.
Yeah, one of the things, I don't know if you have like a Costco or Sam's, or maybe try to buy some stuff in bulk, like buy a pack of like protein bars, or, you could probably buy, a loaf of bread and do make peanut butter and jelly. It's easy enough to kind of keep up with,
Yeah, I think one of the things I did last year and I will do this year is buy like things like waters and Red Bulls and beef jerky, stuff that I know that I'm going to need basically every time, my breakfasts and whatnot.
Yeah.
See if you can buy that in bulk, just because when you go to a convenience store, you're paying for that convenience. So,
yeah.
But overall, I don't think $50 is too bad on food. Because some of these are either traveling over multiple days or, you never know. So, gas wise, that's a pretty big expense for me just because I am traveling out of state so much. So over the course of the year, spent basically $1,200 on gas, $75-ish every time I go travel. So that's a big expense. Besides my entry fees, that's pretty close. Tackle and gas are pretty close per tournament. It's a good thing to watch out for. What Jim put in the chat here for my future others watching. Triple the fuel when you add a boat. So hopefully at one point that will be a problem for me to have, right? Hopefully, at one point I'll have that problem. But that's a good point there. Triple that gas amount. Um, and that may, that may include practice. It may not, but I don't get to practice for most of these. So, um, but yeah, $75 of gas pretty much every time. A place like Lay is going to be a little more. A place like Eufaula is going to be a little bit more, depending on how I get gas and where I get gas and all that. So Eufaula is always a bigger drive, and then some of these are less. So, and then the others just miscellaneous costs. I didn't have a lot of those. I had most everything else I needed this year. But now we'll get to the juicy stuff. So these are just the totals without entry fees. Spent a total of $3,800 on tournaments this year. So that's without entry fees. That's a total of $230, $240 per tournament in just everything. And then you go to with entry fees, spend $5,500 so far total for the year. And that's an average of, like we said before, 350-ish. So we had $1,800, $1,900 of winnings this year, which doesn't sound too bad, right? I had a third place finish in Angler of the Year. I won a club tournament, finished up in 19th in Angler of the Year in the other trail. And then Fishes of Men, I think we got one check. So that wasn't amazing, but had a really good year as far as being a co-angler goes.
Okay.
And still, net expenses are $3,600. So that just goes to show, even with a third place AOY, I got 4 checks in a row on the BFLs, and had third place finish, and then had a 19th place finish on the Bass Nation, and still dropped $3,600 net on the season. So, that's probably not an exact number. It's really hard for me to be able to get that exactly without going back in time and redoing it. But any observations based on that?
No, I mean, I know it seems like $3,600 is a lot to go fishing, but you got to fish 16 different tournaments, and I mean, we haven't really chatted much other things you do outside of fishing, but this is what you love and do. So right. I'm trying to spend all that money on entertainment. Doesn't sound that bad. I mean, some of these costs that you spend on the weekends, I mean, I do that on just like going to hockey games and taking a dinner out to wife, and going out to dinner and all other good stuff. And so just try to keep it in perspective,
Yeah, and I'm also, tackle wise, that's my biggest expense right now. I'm definitely a tackle guy. You know that. I mean, I've got stuff coming in all the time. I'm always looking to get better in that realm. Always looking to have the best stuff. So I don't really spare any expense as far as tackle goes. I was better this year, and I was better last year, and I'll be even better this year about it. But I mean, I think it was a good exercise to do this, and I'll go back and compare it to last year's, and we'll do it again this year. But if you guys want to know what it takes to fish, 16 events, I would say a third of them were local. 2/3 of them are at least a 2 to 4 hour drive. That's basically what you're looking at. But had a great year. Had a really fun year. I don't know what else to say. That's pretty much it, man.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be, we're talking about tackle, and I know we got just a handful of folks that's on, but it'd be interesting to hear from other folks on whether or not they think they'll be buying as much tackle in 2024. I know Brendan has his own lure company, and so he's probably not spending as much tackle as we are. I feel like Jim's got a few different partners, and so I'm not sure if they'll be buying stuff. But Rick down in Florida, I feel like all those guys throw is worms and soft plastic. So I'm sure they go through a bunch, but I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting to see, if other folks plan on buying this much stuff in 2024. I'm gonna try to cut back, but I've already broke that rule because I bought those one knockers and hard knockers, and then Tactical Bassin got me again yesterday with their micro A rig, and so that was another $85 yesterday.
Yeah, man, it happens. I mean, if we sit here and look at the baits that were really good for me last year, it's probably only 14 different baits across 16 tournaments that I weighed fish on. So, I've got a couple in these in here twice because that's just what I caught fish on. But a buzzbait, I'm good on those.
Yeah, and it's not like you lose them, like a jig where you get hung up and breaking off like terminal tackle. You're not. I don't feel like
Right.
you're losing lipless crankbaits a whole lot.
No, and Brandon makes a good point. I'm covered on jigs and buzzbaits, so I know that I'll have access to those. I got to throw I don't know if you heard me earlier, Brandon, but I got to throw the swim bait head around on Chickamauga last weekend. Caught 3 fish and 2 keepers on it, so we'll have that video coming out next week. But yeah, man, it was what plastics do I buy the most? It's a good question.
Shake your head.
Probably, or maybe drop shot.
That Zoom trick worm or something like that, probably, or
Yeah, I use the finesse trick worm, which is the smaller, like 4-inch version. But I did buy some tubes this year. I tried a lot of those new, what are they called? The spunk shad. I like those on a chatterbait. And this year, I have a feeling I'll be throwing a lot of drop shot, a lot of small swim bait, a lot of finesse stuff, wacky rig, things like that. So I'm sure I'll get back into doing that stuff. When I fish ponds, I throw a lot of like wacky rig and small stuff like that. But on the tournaments,
power
I
fish.
just threw different stuff, man. It was a really good year. Really proud of that, and proud of the information we gathered here. But I'm going to probably don't need to be showing this anymore. So what else? What else? Got through that quicker than I thought I would.
How about the weather here, man?
Oh, I know. It's just nuts.
Dude, it was like nice out there today. Today seemed like it'd been a good day to be out in the water, and I guess it's just slowly dropping over the next couple of days.
Yeah, we're gonna have some rain move in. I wanted to fish just a pond a little bit this evening, but didn't have time. Figure that front bite might be good, but
Is the
see
bite
what
normally
Rick
better
said.
pre-front? I mean, I know people always complain about post-front, right? Or
I like a pre-front bite. I feel like they're getting ready for whatever's happening, the pressure change and stuff. But just built a bait wall, so it looks like Rick maybe moved from New York. Oh, that's cool. Um, Man, there's a lot of fishing in New York. That's cool. My work is based up there, and I didn't realize how diverse of a fishery it is. You've got striper on the coast. You've got the Finger Lakes, Cayuga, and all those other ones up there. New York's got some really cool fishing.
yeah, did you see where Iconelli has dropped or is leaving Rapala and
Yeah,
BM?
going to Berkeley for pretty much everything now. Which, I'll be honest with you, man. I don't love their hard baits. I like some of their soft baits, but I am not the biggest Berkeley fan. What about you?
Yeah, I can't say I throw a whole lot. We were talking about fishing videos the other day. I think it's Alex Rudd. He's up there in East Tennessee. Him and his
Yeah,
buddy went up there, and he was throwing the Berkeley hard bait, and his buddy was throwing the rock crawler, and it was interesting to see the numbers of bites on his in the Berkeley versus the rock crawler. And I don't know if that has to do with angler or angle or whatnot, but he caught more on the Berkeley, but I don't throw much of them.
yeah, I don't either. I don't know. I'm just such a Rapala fanboy, I guess, and I guess I need to branch out more. But when you get confidence in a couple of baits, it's hard to get away from them.
Yeah, man, the DTs and the rock. I mean, my biggest on Old Hickory was on a Rocco.
Yeah,
That square bill. I think you said you caught some on a flat side. I didn't fish the flat side much last year. So
yeah. I don't think I've caught any in tournaments with it, but I did catch some on the Rocco. That was cool. I love cranking. I love this time of year for that reason. Can't wait to get back out there and really try. So, what are you up to this weekend? You fishing?
no, I think I'm actually going to take this week off. I'm getting my boat recarpeted. The area that
Yeah.
I'm dropping it off, I think it's towards Center Hill. It's about an hour drive, and so got a few different things removed off the boat so that it can get new carpet. I think it's going to take about 3 weeks with it being cold. He likes to keep it in a climate controlled environment so that the glue, adheres properly, but I'm excited
Yeah,
about that.
awesome. We've got our little tournament coming up not too long, in just a few weeks here. Hopefully we don't get frozen out, but
Yeah, it'd
I'm
be
going
interesting to see
to
how many people can, will still want to do that when it gets closer and they see the weather and
yeah.
whatnot. I'll fish as long as others want to fish.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. Um, I think I'm going to Center Hill this weekend with Tyler with Music City Angler. So gonna go out there and scope around a little bit. We're gonna pretty much dedicate the day to scoping, which I've never really done before. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, I know Jim's been trying to do some scoping up on Dale Hollow. Jim, I'm not sure if you follow Music City Angler, but he just released the video not too long ago where he caught some at Dale Hollow. I was like, man, he's dialed in, dude. He only got one rod on the deck.
And it was cool to watch. It should be cool. I don't know if we're going to be able to find the exact same caliber of fish that he found out there on Dale Hollow, but seems like Center Hill would be a good place to practice your scoping, especially with being able to get out of the wind. And we know it's going to be cold, but it should be fun.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Does Brendan have a live scope? And I hadn't really heard him talk much about scoping. And
I
then
think
Rick, do y'all do that on like Harris chains? It seems like it's pretty shallow grass water, right? Probably just kind of hard fishing there in Florida.
yeah, I'd be interested to hear the the Florida man tell us all about the live scoping down there. I mean, I know there are because the Harris chain is like I think 6 different lakes or something. Um, so there's a variety of structures and lakes and structure and covers and all that. But it looks like I guess Brandon doesn't have live scope. I feel he did. Man, that's got to make Del Hollow a pretty tough place to fish, I would think. But um, I know Brandon had a few good tournament videos come out this year from Del Hollow. That was fun to watch.
A flipping stick. I don't know if I've really caught much on true tradition. Is it flipping when you have the lure in your hand and you're or is that pitching? How do you
I think
distinguish?
that is technically pitching.
Yeah,
I think flipping is when you have the line in your hand and you just kind of let it out.
yeah.
But
And
I
maybe
don't know.
watch
I'm
the line
also
ways real
I'm
down,
not.
straight jack them.
Yeah, I'm Tommy Biffle style, right? Let's go pitch some bushes, man.
According to
But
Randy
not
Block,
his
that's what people
bushes.
want to watch.
All right, right. Good old Randy. Um, Big Jim says yes, and I trust him on this. So it's not wrong that all Rick needs is a flipping stick. I feel like you can probably catch fish just tossing a soft plastic almost any time in Florida, even with a cold front. Um, it's got to be better than up here, right? Everything's got to be better than up here, wherever we are.
Yeah, I need to I need to take a trip down to Florida here soon, man. With this weather being crappy.
I was looking at your channel the other day, and I found where you caught your first frogfish when you were down there.
Yeah, on the headwaters.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
that was awesome to watch.
yeah, I want to go. It is wild, man. Like fishing out there with gators just swimming around. They're not even afraid of the boat. But dude, it is crazy, man. Like my guide that day, I mean, he was on the back of the boat. He was just crushing it. I was trying to throw that
Really?
frog and trying to throw a spinner bait and because I told him I wanted to get on a frog bite, but I think they have like a goat spinner bait down there or something like that. But
Okay.
he's just catching 3.5, 4 pounders like it ain't nothing. you know.
Well, I guess land of the giants, right? So it's like Jim's got something cool coming up on his channel, doing an old school vid on those two methods. As soon as his back heals, yeah, Jim. Hopefully you can get back out there, man. I know that it sucks when you've got problems other than mechanical. If you've got physical issues trying to get it on the water, that's tough.
I wonder if the old school method Jim's talking about probably like maybe like Carolina rigging or flipping a jig. I know he likes that
Well,
like blue
I
jig.
think he's talking about flipping and pitching.
Yeah.
Could be fun. It's almost that time.
That's why I need like a big shot, that way, like the old school guys, they talk about like, oh man, I just used to practice, pitching and flipping to a coffee cup. That's why Tommy Biffle's like real good with that.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I have gone out in the lawn of my apartment building and like try to pitch different little grass patches and stuff. It's fun when people walk by and they look over like, what the heck is this guy doing?
Are you catching anything?
Yeah, right.
I don't know, man. I'm
Probably.
more of a rollcaster. You know, I just love like a good rollcast.
I will say, you go back and watch my videos, I cast the same way a lot, which is a weird, like sideways kind of weird thing.
Yeah.
But if you go back and watch your own videos, you'll see that your mechanics, they pretty much stay the same no matter what you're doing. It's kind of funny.
Is there a certain person that you like to follow that has really good mechanics?
I think Ott is probably the best caster I've ever seen. Man, he can just put that bait. It's like effortless to me. I mean, Wheeler's really good, Dustin's really good, but I feel like Ott is probably my favorite to watch. Just get that bait places where it would take you or me 5 or 6 times to get that one cast, and then by the time we get it, we've probably blown up all the grass and shredded our backlashes are bad, and not just puts it right in there.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot like I love watching, Jacob when he's fishing the river. I feel like he makes some really nice pitches and whatnot. But I know Ott likes to fish backwaters, and so I wonder if that's why he's so good and efficient.
I learned how to flip a DT6 because I used to catch a lot of fish on the Coosa, and you catch them on a DT6 a lot, but you have to get it in these really tiny little cuts and little coves and gaps between bushes. And I literally learned how to flip a crankbait, which has helped me on several situations as a co-angler. Like if you're up against the bank and all you can do is fish what's in front of you, you can just flip it up there. So it's a good thing to learn.
No, but like hook sets, man. I don't know if you ever like noticed like Jason Christie, dude. I just feel like he's like super efficient, and he's always just like right there, like like that Joey guy that's going through the Bass Open again. Man, I love watching him, dude. He's the way he flips. Yeah.
Yep, I'm a big fan of G-Man, Slackliner, Dustin Connell, man. That dude sets a hook like this is what you call crossing their eyes, man. You ever cross their eyes, Johnny?
I wish I can cross their eyes a little bit more. What are you talking about? Like just watching your mechanics, though. One of the things I do notice, I feel like my foot's always in the wrong position. So it's like I'm this way, and then I got to shift this way, and then I lean this way, and then set back, which is inefficient. So
yeah, it is something it's hard with the trolling motor and whatnot. It's kind of hard to make sure you're being mindful of that along with the other 16 things you're trying to think about at the same time. So we got Rick chiming in about living in New York. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about with it being so diverse, man. You got big water and big smallmouth with a drop shot and a Ned. You got shallow largemouth pitching to fishing grass with a swim jig and stuff. I mean, you got to be able to do a lot of different stuff. And Big Jim doesn't want us to talk about flipping a square bill. Okay, I want to talk about it. Never mind.
Hey, I saw something where man, who am I thinking of? The guy that just had 50 years in bass, Rick Klein.
Rick Klein?
Dude, I think he was talking about like a soft square bill or something like that. Have you ever seen that before?
Soft square bill? No.
Yeah, it's almost like a frog. It has like it like the consistency of a frog, and it has like that same type of hook or whatnot.
Really? Huh. That's cool.
Dude, I've been on Bass Boat Central here lately, man. It's like, it's a forum, which I don't think you've done much on the forums, but forums was the big deal for me back in the day. And so like, it's pretty cool to find a fishing forum and people actually use, because everybody just use Facebook these days,
Yeah, no, I used to be a Reddit guy, but I don't have the time anymore. So I don't go. The fishing Reddit, I would not recommend it to most people. It's pretty cringe.
I don't even know. I mean, I feel like Reddit's just more like mainly pictures, right?
No, Reddit it's a big forum. I mean, it's Reddit in general is cool, but fishing, I would say most people, it's not the best fishing advice on there. But speaking of, okay, so we're talking about fishing in cover. What are your top 3 baits for pitching into cover?
I fish Percy Priest. There's no cover.
Okay. We're going to Normandy when the water's up and you've got laydowns everywhere. What are you doing? Top 3 baits.
Probably Texas rig crawl, little jig. I don't know what's another good one. Spinnerbait. Can you flip a spinnerbait?
Yes, you can flip a spinnerbait, Johnny. Yeah, you stole one of mine. Thanks. I'll say a buzzbait, and a buzzbait. No.
Dude, I'm gonna get on a
So
buzzbait by sure.
yeah, you will. You will. We got Big Jim chiming in. Jig, Texas rig, square bill in that order. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'd say my first cast is with a buzzbait. My second is with Texas rig, and my third is with a spinnerbait.
Pegged or unpegged Texas rig?
Probably pegged in this case. What about you?
Yeah, I guess because you want that weight to kind of stay together, right? To kind of sleep in that hole.
There are two ways to look at it. You could either I want this to stay together so it doesn't get hung up, so that everything kind of stays, connected, and I want it to all be the same motion, or pitch that weight in there and maybe the weight sinks and then eventually it takes your line and kind of drags that thing through there. It could go either way. Jim says he likes his weight pegged, so
all right. So pegged with just that little line through, or is it pegged with what's the other kind where you have to it's on a little thing and you pull it out? There's two.
The bobber stopper.
Yeah, bobber stop or just the other kind.
I use bobber stop. What about you?
I have both, but yeah, I think mainly I've been using bobber stops.
No peg when fishing points. So Big Jim likes a free rig, basically, is what he's saying. That's what an unpegged Texas rig. It's just a free rig, right?
Yeah. Milliken tried to make that big the other day. He's like, "Look, we got this drop shot weight," and like, another way you can use a drop shot weight is a free rig.
Hey, did you buy any of these hangover swim baits that he put out?
No, I didn't. Just because I tried to throw some swim baits around, and I don't know, it's just too slow. I just don't like fishing it that way.
That's fair. It's here in about a month. The mag draft bite at these ponds that I fish in Franklin, dude, it is amazing. Gives me so much confidence, and I go on the lake and I'm like, they don't eat this. What? You mean the golf course doesn't equate to Old Hickory? What? So confused.
You got to throw a 2.8 or 3-inch sunbait on the lakes.
Yeah, Big Jim with the Carolina rig. Yeah, this is what you were talking about with the toothpick peg. Yeah. Yeah, man. They still do that with like strike indicators for fly fishing. Have you seen those?
Mm-mm.
It's like a little piece of foam with a hole through it and then a toothpick. And then you slide it up to where you want, push the toothpick through, and it pegs it. All right, now I got Brandon good. Everybody's giving up the juice on all their lakes. Here we go.
Sea rig. I feel like you were throwing was you throwing the Carolina rig some on Priest the other day when you were fishing with whatchamacallit?
With Daniel, yeah, Project Fishing. Yeah, I was not a huge Carolina rig guy usually, but once again, I think with fishing the Toyotas and fishing more out of the back, I'm trying to expand stuff that I can drag behind the boat, because I think I'm going to have to do a lot of that this year.
With the wobble head, man, I want to say I threw like a 5/8 or 3/4, but it still seemed like I had to reel it so slow to keep it on the bottom. That's one of the things I didn't really like about like a wobble head. I don't know if
I think I don't really get the wobble head thing, because there's some people talk about, oh man, you fish it like crankbait, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Slow retrieve it. There's some people who just drag it. And then there's other people who kind of do both, or like they hop it, or you can just do whatever with it, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like most people are like, oh, just fish like a crankbait, try to burn it on the bottom. But when I try to do that, dude, it's just like, I just feel like it's rising up. Half ounce. I would have thought that. Do you make your own trainer? Have you seen any of those?
I don't think he's got one. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm sure he'll correct us. I won't say who it was, but my boater in the BFL on Percy Priest 2 years ago was catching him good on the wobblehead. He really liked it. I didn't even know what one was back then. I had never thrown it, but there used to be BFLs on Percy Priest.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this sneakiness. He makes one, but he doesn't sell it. Classic. All right. Well, I'll buy a couple from you, Brandon. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, Chad, what's up, man? Chad, you'd be interested to see the most of the earlier bits in the show. We talked about the costs associated with tournament fishing. If you want to check that out whenever this video gets posted. But what else? What else? So Johnny's taking the weekend off. Anybody else going fishing this weekend? Anybody else stupid enough like me to go fishing on this cold weekend?
Tyler was talking about going to Center Hill or Dale Hollow. I want to say like the winter series was going to go out there, and he made a pretty nice post about like, hey, it's going to be pretty windy and wind gusts. So I sent that screenshot to Tyler. He's like, yeah, I guess I won't be going to Dale Hollow.
Yeah, we wanted to actually go up there and go back scoping, but not gonna happen. Let's see. It's like Brand's about to make the switch to tungsten on the wobbleheads. I could see that. Chad says he's gonna watch and see. Big Jim staying inside. Got Craig in. Good to see you, man. Headed to. Craig is a buddy who I actually met on FishBrain. I don't know if you've ever used FishBrain, but it's a little, maybe a little controversial to some people. Some people really don't like it, but it's just it's sort of another social media fishing app where you can post your catches, what you caught them on, the location, all that kind of stuff. But I met Craig there. Bible Boat, where are you going on Saturday? Gotta let us know.
Craig's going to Cumberland River. I think Will's talking about going to the river.
I think Will might be going with Chad, but Craig will be out there, and man, we'll have so many people out on the Cumberland.
Can't wait to hear about all the bass they catch.
I gave up Rick's secret, the spy bait. Have you ever fished a spy bait, Johnny?
I've thrown it around some. It seems like it'd be really good for scoping because the water I have I feel like it's pretty heavy, so you can kind of get into the water column, but where the fish are at easily. But
yeah,
I haven't caught one on it yet.
We tried it on some of the bluffs on Pickwick. Thought that might be an interesting. And then my partner, I think he made 2 casts with it and got it hung up and lost it. So
I could see, like I said, I feel like most of the time they're pretty heavy,
Yeah, they are. But I do agree. It feels like because it kind of like suspends in that water column, doesn't it?
I don't know if it's really suspending. You just have to reel it up, to if they're higher in the water column, and then if they're down, you should let it drop, to it. It's to me, it's almost like a lipless, but more of a thinner profile.
Yeah, it looks like Big Jim is agreeing with you on the spy bait live scope. I could totally see that. I could see that on that. I don't know why this just sparked it in my mind, but some of those spotted bass lakes that you've been to, like is it Chatouche you went to?
Yeah, like some of those clear lakes.
I feel like a spy bait, suspended fish. I feel like that would be interesting. Craig says I have one spot up near the dam where I always catch exactly one white bass, then I lose 3 cricket. I feel like if you know that's going to happen, you could just not go. But I mean, I guess
you catch a white bass, like, oh, it's a big one.
I mean, you're gonna catch them, might as well, right? I mean, that's better than nothing. But you haven't really been out to the river much this year, or even in the past like 6 months, have you?
No, I mean I've been like a handful of times, and the times that I've gone, I didn't really catch them, and so I'm telling you, man, this year, dude, 2024, I'm hitting up the Coosa. Maybe it's gonna be my deal.
I've got some more gaps in the schedule this year, so hopefully we can make that trip together. But okay, we got a good question here. What should we try on the river this weekend, Carolina? That pretty much always catches them somewhere. I mean, look at the current. The best outing I had on the river this year was with a drop shot, actually, which it was a light, like a 3/16 ounce drop shot. But man, I caught those 2 big ones I caught that one day, both on the drop shot, and then it was like a shutdown. So maybe try that.
I recommend throwing it on lead though, not tungsten, because you can lose a lot of terminal tackle out there.
You sure can. You sure can. Would not. Yeah, don't take your custom engraved tungsten weights that have your name and the smiley face on them. Leave those at home. And yeah, Chad is a good person to ask. He's always catching them out there, quarter ounce swim bait or crankbait. I'm always curious, Chad, do you just straight retrieve your swim bait or do you let it sink? I tried to figure it out through your videos, but I'm curious to see how you like to fish that.
it seems like people always catch them on a jerk bait out there too. I know Dale's always out there catching them on a jerk bait.
Yeah, I can't catch them on a jerk bait out there. I've tried it. I don't know what it is, but I can't do it.
Dude, you caught some good ones with me on a Texas rig.
Yep.
That one year when we hopped in front of Doug and Mike. That was fun.
Oh yeah, I love that video. That's that is a good time. Just hop up in front of them, catch a couple big ends, and it's all good. It's part of it, right?
That's what you should do. And I don't know if you already edited the Chickamauga video, but I don't know if Will was complaining like, "Oh, I can't believe he's gonna go right there." I tried to give y'all some room. You know?
No, he didn't say anything.
Yeah, because I felt like I was fishing a little different waters. So
yeah, it's all good.
Let's just tell me about a little derby. Oh, there we go.
Is he talking about sticks?
What's that?
I think he's talking about sticks.
Yeah, maybe. What's his real name? Is it Tim? Is it Tim?
I think so.
Yeah, he's always out there.
He is always out there. Maybe we'll pull him off and see if he'll fish Percy Priest for a full day.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen him in video on Percy Priest. I know he fishes Nickajack which that's another one I want to hit up this year is Nickajack.
Yeah, Tyler wants me to teach him how to punch, so we're gonna go to Nickajack this summer and teach Tyler how to punch. Yeah. Yep. Chad's all about the money badger, which I don't blame him. Fritz side is good too.
That's Berkeley, right? Money badger?
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like it's real lightweight, ain't it?
Yeah, they are. Fritz side is pretty much perfect as far as the weight goes. That's a good crankbait, but I'm partial to the DT as well, obviously. You guys know that. I actually have been told by the people in the Bass Nation that I'm not allowed to throw it in tournaments anymore. It's just too good. So gotta leave the DT6 at home.
It'd be interesting to see what Rapallo does with Ike's DTs. You know, if they keep those colors around or whatnot.
I'm interested. I'm anxious to hear because I love that demon color. And if they do decide to stop making it, I'll probably buy everyone that I can put my hands on. That's just such a good color in the spring.
Dude, I got so many DTs and Spro rock crawlers. I stocked up on them for a while. I think I'm going to be good for a little bit.
I think I'm going to be good till you get that one color, and then you got to go find more of that one color that you forgot to buy 5 of. I know how this works. Don't worry.
And then you got to get all the different depths. Yeah, I mean, I got to have a 6, 8, and a 10.
Yep. Yes, Chad, you were right. Demon is amazing. Yeah, it is. Well, we do have a few people in here, but we are going to start wrapping the show up. If you guys want to go back and watch, let's see, Craig asked a question, so we'll bring it up. Haven't watched my video about catching stock trout yet, but even having fun up the dam. Yeah, that's exactly where I was. So you will maybe enjoy it, maybe not, because you've been right up there. But put out a video yesterday on catching stocked trout, just a really easy method to do that. So you guys check that out. But today's stream was all about the costs and the performance I had this year or this past year on tournaments. So if you guys are interested in that, I mean, hey, go back and screenshot, the spreadsheet, go do some study on it, whatever. Let me know what you guys think about it. If you have any other observations that we missed today. And Johnny, anything else before we sign off here?
No, like I said, I feel like we got a few local YouTubers, and so you haven't followed them. Check them out. Bible Belt, Big Jim, you got Brandon, right? So
yeah, no, it's been good to have support from. Feels like everybody locally has been jumping in on each other's shows and stuff. So it's good to see, and we will see each other all in a few weeks here as well. So
all right, stay safe and
all right, guys.
Try not to spend too much money on tackle.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Yeah.